The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, staff, management, or advertisers.
Coming to you on stations coast to coast, it's the Makin It Radio Show with your hosts, self-made millionaires Tommy Runfola and Todd Williams. Tommy Runfola, founder and president of one of America's top technology, consumer products, and media companies. Author, investor, and National Entrepreneur of the Year nominee. Tommy has worked with 5 U.S. presidents and vice presidents. Todd Williams, founder and CEO of Inc. Magazine's 2013 fastest growing food and beverage companies in America. A former NBC TV personality and Harvard Business alumnus. Makin It is the source for success stories and in-the-trenches information that outlines a roadmap to the American dream. And now, here's Tommy and Todd.
Welcome to Makin It, the most compelling show about success in America. And boy, do we have a good one for you today, folks. First, let me introduce my fantastic co-host, Mr. Todd Williams. Hey, Todd, what's happening?
Hey, what's up? What's up?
And, of course, Miss Brittany Dorsey.
Hi.
How are you today, Brittany?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Todd, why don't you introduce our guest today, and we'll go from there.
Our guest today has been hailed by the New York Times as a modern-day Will Rogers. He's quietly become one of the most influential people in America. Andy Andrews is an internationally known speaker and novelist whose combined works have sold millions of copies worldwide. He has been received at the White House and has spoken at the request of 4 different U.S. presidents. His New York Times best-selling books have included The Traveler's Gift, How Do You Kill 11 Million People, 11millionvotes.com, and The Noticer. And his current book that's out right now is The Little Things, Why You Really Should Sweat the Small Stuff. He's an international sensation. His books are available and translated in over 40 languages. He's been featured on ABC's Good Morning America as a Book of the Month selection and many other media outlets. He's an in-demand speaker and an extremely rare communicator. Welcome to the show today, Andy.
Hey, guys. How are you? Thank you.
We're doing great, Andy. Andy, this is Tommy, and we're on several stations that Dave Ramsey is also on, and I read that Dave calls you the Life Whisperer. And they call me the Doubt Whisperer. So I think we're going to be whispering a lot of people today.
That's awesome. That's great.
Well, Andy, tell us the quick and dirty summary of how you made it to the top to become a best-selling New York Times author.
Well, guys, I don't know if I made it to the top. For me, it's been a long climb to the middle. But I'm still scratching, I'm still climbing. And I did start at the bottom. People say, well, you got to start at the bottom, but I really started at the bottom. My parents died when I was 19. I made some bad choices and ended up literally homeless before that was even a word.
Wow.
35 years ago, nobody was talking about homeless people. That wasn't a term anybody used, but I was sleeping under a pier on the Gulf Coast and in and out of people's garages, which is not safe or smart, but had a lot of time to read. And ended up reading over 200 biographies of just happy, influential, financially secure, great people, and really kind of connected some of the things they had used. 7 things that I called them things at the time. Because I knew they weren't 7 habits, they weren't 7 theories, they weren't mine. Any moron could have read 200 books and figured it out, but they were principles, as it turned out, and I used those principles years later to create a story around those principles. And the book was called The Traveler's Gift. That was the one that was Good Morning America's Book of the Month, and that book was just a story about a family going through a tough time, and the dad gets to travel through time, meeting with 7 historical figures who are also going through a tough time of their own. He gets to be with Anne Frank in the Annex and Lincoln at Gettysburg and King Solomon right after he says, "Bring me the sword and I'll tell you whose baby this is." And each of these gives this man a different principle that if he puts in his life, things change. And so that was really kind of how it all got going.
Well, Andy, we talk on the show a lot about personal development and personal development books. You have a new book called The Little Things. Who should read this book and why? Tell us about it.
This is one of those kind of books. I know everybody says, oh, everybody should read it, but I really believe that parents want their teenagers to read it or want to read it with their teenagers, because it's full of a lot of things that we're got, Todd, you and I go, gosh, I wish I'd have known that back then.
Right.
And so, this is also a huge thing for business people. My largest client right now is actually the first endorsement on the back. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I realized several years ago as an entrepreneur that when I was helping people, I couldn't. I don't have any celebrity, really, right? I mean, I'm kind of an ordinary guy. I don't have a gold medal. I don't have a Super Bowl ring, and I'm just a dad and a husband and a friend. And so the only way I can really make myself valuable is results. It's the only thing I can do is help people get massive results. So I started helping some companies double and triple. And that was one of them. That company, and I'll tell you who it is, Fairway Mortgage. And 19 years in business, and they had gotten to $5.4 billion. I started working with them, and the next year, 2.5 years ago, they did 11.2 billion, and then went to 17.4 billion the next year, and they're 25% ahead of that now. And I realized one day, guys, that good grief, this is happening for a lot of companies and teams. I actually have my hand in the last 9 college football national championships, including your guys, Todd.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And so it's funny that I realized one day that, gosh, all these things I've done to help these people, they're not written down. Some of them were my take on things, but there were several things that were completely original that weren't written down anywhere. And I have 2 boys. My wife and I have 2 boys, and I thought, man, if I don't write these down, and if I croak, my boys won't know how this all happened. And I realized they were very little tiny things. And so I started at that point writing the book really for my boys. And then the publisher got a hold of it, and the whole thing is that everything is, everybody's into big picture stuff, but every big picture is created one individual tiny brushstroke at a time.
Right. That's good.
Well, we're going to take a little break here, Andy, and when we come back, I want to talk to you about luck.
Okay.
A lot of people think that people become successful because of luck, and I want you to expand on that a little bit.
We want you to clear that up. We want you to clear that whole thing up,
okay.
Coming from where you came from. When we come back, we'll have more with New York Times best-selling author Andy Andrews. We'll be right back.
Your questions about business, career, personal development, and achieving the American dream are more than welcome. Email them to info@makingitnow.com. Now back to more Making It with Tommy and Todd.
OMG Fact of the Week. President James Garfield could write Latin with one hand and Greek with the other hand at the same time.
Goodness.
Well, Todd, you probably didn't know this, but there have been a number of presidents who could actually talk 2 different languages at once, speak 2 different languages at once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's like every one of them?
Well, no, they call it double talk.
Right.
Yes. All right.
Okay, next up, we're going to do a shout out to one of our preferred partners in the Sarasota, Florida area, World Class Dentistry with Dr. Jill Morris and Dr. Burr Backey, offering the newest techniques in smile makeovers. Dr. Jill Morris and Dr. Burr Backey are super professional and excellent at what they do. And they just happen to be Tommy's dentist, and Tommy only likes the best of the best.
Indeed, I do, and that's why I'm so handsome, because I've got these wonderful dentists.
Check out our website to see Tommy's teeth behind the scenes.
Yes.
Check them out by going to our preferred partners page on makingitnow.com, and you can click the link to their website. Thanks again for supporting Making It.
Well, Andy, when we left off, we were talking, getting ready to talk about luck. Now, tell us your perspective on luck. A lot of people think that if you're going to get super successful in life, there has to be at least an element of luck to it. So clear that up for us.
I think, I really, man, I hate to rain on people's parades, but in a way, that rain can help you grow.
Exactly.
We all need rain to grow,
Sure.
and raining on people's parades would be me telling you that you don't really need a magic wand or a four-leaf clover or a shiny penny or a rabbit's foot. I mean, a rabbit's foot's, it certainly wasn't lucky for the original owner, right?
Right.
And so luck is kind of it's a myth. It's a funny myth. It's a cool thing to talk about, but if you went to detect it, right? I mean, if you went to try to let me find it, scientifically break it down, it's undetectable because it's non-existent, right? I mean, luck is something that, when you think about it, we wish for it when we roll the dice, and then we blame it when the dice stop.
Right.
Okay, we want mercy. We're calling on luck. We want mercy, grace, peace, abundance, and we call upon luck. And yet, the people who call upon luck for money and grace and peace in their lives are people who don't have any other idea of how to get the money or the grace or the peace. And
Right.
and so luck is a last resort of a desperate person.
Right.
And so if that rains on your parade, here, grow with this. What I want you to understand is that when you listen to Making It, when you listen to Tommy and Todd and Brittany on this show, you're aware that you're listening to what we call personal development. There's a lot of people that don't like personal development. They don't know why. They just kind of don't like it. They don't like the idea of it.
Right.
And yet the things that they want connections, they want opportunity, they want influence, and they think, man, if I could just be lucky enough to make a connection, if I could be lucky enough to have an opportunity. Well, let me explain something to you. The reason that you want to develop personally, the reason you're listening carefully to Tommy and Todd, and not just listening carefully, but you're trying to understand. You want to understand how they relate to each other. You want to understand where Brittany's dynamic is in their lives. Why sometimes they listen to Brittany. Why sometimes Brittany is the boss, and why sometimes Brittany listens to them. What you will begin to understand is three people who have developed personally to a great degree. And because they have developed personally, people like them. People enjoy being around them. People listen carefully to them. And so when you develop personally, when you become a person that other people want to be around, then obviously when there are opportunities to be given, if there's a lot of people around you, you're going to be there. When there's an idea that is had, you'll be there to hear it. Okay, but people who do not develop personally or do not understand that process, they're much more prone to people really kind of not wanting to be around them, or bad moods, and they have what I call a low emotional IQ. They don't have the ability to grab hold of themselves and act a certain way despite how they feel. I mentioned my wife and I have two boys, and one of the most important things that I'm making sure that my teenagers know before they ever leave home is that they do have the ability to act a certain way despite how they feel. You've been created with a will that is stronger than your emotions. You can choose how you act, and that's part of personal development.
Now, segueing on that, I have a theory about, in order to locate your passion, what can help you is if you go to a bookstore and you look at your favorite magazine, that kind of gives you a clue to what your passion's about. And there's these various techniques to find. And we have about 45 seconds on this. Can you tell us about discovering or rediscovering your purpose and why that's so needed? Because your books talk about that.
Yeah, your purpose is your direction. And to discover that purpose, where you are valuable. Your purpose is not to make a lot of money. Your part of your purpose may be making a lot of money, but your purpose will be what you do with it. Okay? And so your purpose will be connected with your passion, because that passion is the fuel, the energy that will make that purpose roll. And so your passion may be working, with electronics, and so then your purpose may be to build an orphanage, or your purpose may be to teach children how to work with electronics so that they can have businesses of their own. Purpose and passion are two different things, but they are connected.
We're going to keep this going. We get back. You're listening to Tommy and Todd with Making It. We'll be right back.
Your questions about business, career, personal development, and achieving the American dream are more than welcome. Call 855-MAKIN-IT, 855-625-4648. Now, back to more Making It with Tommy and Todd.
We're back with Tommy and Todd, coast to coast, and we have with us New York Times best-selling author Andy Andrews.
Yes, and before we get back to talking with him, we're going to do another quick shout-out, this time to Travel Cats. They are down in the Tampa market. Planning a vacation is time-consuming, but with their knowledgeable staff, all you need is to pack your wardrobe. Talk to their team to find out how they can simplify your vacation planning process. You can check them out by going to our website, makingitnow.com, clicking on our Preferred Partners tab, and then you'll find the link to their website there. Thanks again for supporting Making It.
Okay, back to Andy Andrews from his home office in Alabama right now.
Yeah.
I want to... a lot of times our listeners want to know about our guests, how they build their business up. Can you tell me in about a minute or so how you built your business? Did you use social media, or what marketing did you use to build your business up? And where do you make most of your money in your business?
Okay, honestly, Todd, I built my business with common sense, and I know that common sense is a superpower these days, but I also think it's one that people can grab hold of. Of course I use social media. Of course I use traditional methods, which to me social media is a traditional method. But I make most. I speak. I speak to organizations. I write. But if you had to divide it up into a percentage basis on time, I make most of my money by helping other companies and other entities succeed. And the way that I built that up is the same way I've done my own business. Number one is I concentrate on results. Churchill had a great quote, and that was, no matter how beautiful the strategy, occasionally we got to look at the results.
Yeah. And
the way I get results, and I know that you guys will resonate with this because I've heard you talk about it, is I am not a contrarian, but I realize that I have to have incredible results. I can't have average results. And so incredible results will never be achieved by doing what everybody else is doing. And so my wife, I'll get off the phone, with a coach or something. My wife will say, do they know that you only played football in the 6th grade? And I'll laugh and I'll say, yeah, they do. But the thing is, because she says, how are you doing this? You don't know anything about the mortgage industry. You don't know anything about the car industry. You don't know anything about football, really. And how are you doing this? And it's the philosophy is this, that if somebody came up to me and said, hey, we need you to say something in 30 seconds that will help us increase 20% a year for the next 10 years, well, I really couldn't do it, because that would require a knowledge of their industry, because that's how the best in any industry increases. Right. But if somebody said, we need you to give us something in 30 seconds that help us double next year, I would say, yeah, okay, look at your industry, see what everybody else is doing, turn around and go the other way.
So,
because you wanted a chance, right? You look at them. Do you have a chance?
So on that note, speaking about the little things, first of all, I love that concept. Second of all, How would you, so I'm in marketing and sales, and you're constantly trying to attribute what works, what doesn't work. What would you say from a marketing and sales perspective when you're looking at your business? How do you really train your mind to cue into those little things? What's the advice you would give? You have to look at the big picture, responsible for the big picture and the big results, like you were just saying. But how do you train your brain to then cue into the important little things and not get overwhelmed?
Good question. And the one thing you always want to know is, I don't care what the industry is, the product is you. I don't care if you're in real estate. I don't care if you're selling widgets. I don't care if you're coaching. The product is you. We all know that people have paid more for things than they had to pay. They've gone to more trouble to get something than they have to go to get it. And it always has to do, when they do that, it has to do with somebody, showing loyalty, showing gratefulness. And so it is the person. Normal people compete with product and price. I want you to compete with you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little about your experience writing a book. I mean, your latest book, The Little Things, a lot of the chapters are, based on, a little thing like a one, a little thing like a few nails, like you kind of kept a consistent theme. What's your experience writing that book like?
That book, the newest book here, Todd, was fairly easy, but because it was kind of like writing, a story or writing an article and putting a bunch of them together that had the same theme. It's harder to write a novel, which is what I usually write, and a lot of people say, well, I don't know how to do it. Yeah, well, neither did John Grisham when he started, okay? So just find the book that you like the most, and how did it start? Well, start yours that way. How did it end? Well, end yours that way.
How do people get a hold of you to, check your books out, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm AndyAndrews.com. I'm easy to get. And, I'm on Facebook. I will be your friend. And I'm on Twitter at Andy Andrews. But AndyAndrews.com is the best way. And my podcast is free if you put me in there.
That's it for today's show.
All right. Great book. The Little Things by Andy Andrews. Go out and get it. This is Tommy and Todd. Keep making it.
This has been Makin' It, the source for information, insights, interviews, and in-the-trench advice for startups, struggling, and early-stage entrepreneurs and business owners nationwide.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, staff, management, or advertisers.
For more information, contact Tommy or Todd at 855-MAKIN' IT. That's 855-625-4648. Or at their email address, info@makinitnow.com. Thank you for listening to Makin' It.